You're listening to MinerTalk on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with MinerTalk by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app. All right, we are live. MinerTalk is here, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. Wow, UTEP defeats Liberty today in a dominating fashion, 67-51. Has your opinion, let's just rip the Band-Aid off right away. Has your opinion on this basketball team changed over these two road victories right here? First road sweep for UTEP basketball since 2022 when they beat Southern Miss and La Tech. This is also the first time Liberty has lost in this fashion by this much. This is a 16-point loss for the Flames. Most they've lost in a single game since the 2019 season when they lost to Lipscomb by 20 points. So Miners not only win, but kill Liberty on the road in a dominating fashion. Despite that 12-0 run that happened in the second half, Sal, UTEP was able to hold off the Flames, and you got to commend the Miners. They came in hot. They were ready to go. And Corey Camper Jr., what a performance by him. Zid Powell, he played great as well. And the Miners get a huge win on the road. Do you believe, are you on the glass half full right here with UTEP basketball?
Oh my gosh, Adrian, it's hard to tell, man, because we asked for a repeat performance in terms of execution, and they did that. They got, I'll look at the exact numbers right now, but I know it was either at or near double digits when it comes to field goals made more than Liberty tonight, and they had more field goals made in their last game as well. Finishing at the cup, you want to see them be aggressive and use that athleticism. Now they're finally able to to convert those attempts into buckets, and that's been huge. They're solid again in transition. Of course, we can nitpick and look at some things here and there, but all in all, they despite that drought that they had, able to remain focused on the task at hand and execute. You see them play with the sense of urgency, but calmness in it in the final 5-6 minutes. So you got to give them credit, man. And yeah. So I'm not answering the question.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to go all the way back in on this team. It's hard to think this way, knowing that coming into this week they went on a 4-game losing streak, and right now they're just playing loose. They're playing with the high potential. They're playing with the upside that you saw earlier this season in their wins against UC Santa Barbara and their home win against Wyoming. Alberto Reta is our third member of our broadcast team here tonight. UTEP defeated Liberty 67-51. If you'd like to talk about it, 915-505-6009. Alberto, you got a chance to watch this one. For the Miners, led for almost 39 minutes of this game, really never looking back in this game and holding on to a victory. How did you see this one?
Yeah, this is a really dominant performance, kind of the second one in a row here for the Miners to kind of get out of that cold streak that they were in. And it's something we really like to see right before conference play, just kind of signs of life. 4 guys getting into double digits. That's phenomenal to see. Guys get into the boards. That's another really good thing to see. And, just to me is my biggest takeaway is, when this team's back was against the wall, they didn't just die. They had, 3 games left. They easily could have hung it up and called it quits and said, hey, man, the ones that are going to be back next year, we'll give it another go next year. And the guys that aren't, sorry that this year didn't turn out. But no, these guys are still fighting. So I really like to see that because a lot of fans and even us were really counting them out, especially for this one. I myself said they were going to get swept, and they didn't. So I'm eating my words right now, and I'm saying it like a man. I made a mistake. These guys are playing good basketball right now.
So we all made mistakes on this one, Alberto. I mean, I picked them to lose back-to-back on the road. Sal picked them to lose back-to-back on the road. We all did. I don't think anybody here in this room actually thought that UTEP would win one of these games on the road, let alone 2. So the back-to-back wins right here, that's a building block for the Miners going into the final stretch of the season. Let's review the Conference USA standings. If anybody would like to weigh in on the show, 915-505-6009. That's our telephone number. We got some standings updates. We also have a lot of posts to read on Twitter and X. But let's go over to the Conference USA standings right now. As it stands, the Miners are currently the 6th seed. They went into the week the 8th seed, so they've done a little bit of nice work to move up the standings this week. Jacksonville State, they lost today. New Mexico State won. FIU won. New Mexico State, they are 8th in the conference right now. FIU is 9th in the conference. Both those teams, it looks like they will probably be the 8th, 9th seed. I don't want to say that's a lock, but it almost feels like that right now. Jacksonville State, they've got Sam Houston on the road. And if Sam Houston looks at that game against Jacksonville State, they want to win because they want a chance at winning the first overall seed in CUSA. They can get a bye in that in that second game, so they have a little bit of an incentive to actually beat Jacksonville State. What I'm saying is, with the Miners being the 6th seed right now, having FIU on their docket to close out the season on Thursday, Miners, the worst that could possibly happen, they drop to maybe the 7th seed, knowing that FIU is their dead last at the 9th seed right now, and best case scenario, if Liberty, who has 2 games at home next week, Liberty actually has an away and then home game. They've got first Middle Tennessee on Tuesday and then Western Kentucky. Best case scenario for the Miners, they actually overlap or actually go over, the Liberty Flames. The Flames drop 2 of those games. That's the best case scenario, right? 6-10 would be what the Flames end up in conference play. Meanwhile, the Miners getting a win against Florida International on Thursday. That would move them up to 7-9 in Conference USA. That would mean they get bumped up to about the 5 seed. Liberty would get bumped back to the 6 seed. And if that's the case, the Miners would get a chance to play Middle Tennessee in that first round matchup. That's their upside right there. 5th seed is their upside for the Miners this Conference USA tournament stretch. However, if the Flames, who have beaten Middle Tennessee earlier this year and also beaten Western Kentucky, at points. Actually, they lost earlier this year on the road, 70-68, but a tightly contested matchup. Point is, Liberty gets at least one of those victories right there. They get the head-to-head over the Miners because of their overall record. They're 17-12 overall. If they split those games even, that would mean they're 18-13, still better than the Miners, who right now 15-15, win on Thursday 16-15. Liberty would still get the edge over there. So what does that mean for the Miners? Either they play Middle Tennessee or they play Western Kentucky. Sal, as a matchup matchup goes, who would you rather play right now if you're UTEP in the first round of the conference tournament?
Between Western and Middle?
Yes.
I would say probably Middle Tennessee. I think the upside for Western Kentucky is there. Obviously, them only being 8-7 in Conference USA, but 19-10 overall, they're disappointed. Let's be real. The frustration for Hilltoppers fans is there. Miner fans think, they should be a lot better than they've been this year. Nothing at all compared to the frustration of Western Kentucky fans. This was a Conference USA favorite going into last year, and then a Conference USA, solid pick, I guess you could say, or a dark horse at the very least, considering the talent that was going to be there. So, I think the upside for Western is a lot higher, and the Miners battled with Middle Tennessee. I think they can get it done against them. However, they did split against both.
To your point, Sal, Western Kentucky was picked in the preseason poll 3rd in Conference USA. So you're right. Fans are probably disappointed for the Hilltoppers, knowing that, even if they finish 3rd overall in this league, it's probably not the upside of what they hope for. A wide open Conference USA with Sam Houston State ahead of them in the standings. Now, on the other side, Middle Tennessee was picked to be 1st in the conference. They are right now 4th in the league. They had a 12-16, or they're 12-16 overall. Most of that is largely due to the fact that they came into conference play at 6-9 overall. They didn't have a great non-conference stretch, and for Middle Tennessee, I think that's where their disappointment lies. They are 6-7, so right around 500 500 here in conference play, and we'll find out tonight if they end up beating Sam Houston State. We'll find out what happens in that matchup. They've got Liberty and La Tech next week. Those are all tough games right there for Middle Tennessee. So if the Miners catch the Blue Raiders here in the conference tournament, I actually like that matchup the best right there. I'm that's my matchup that I would like if UTEP ends up playing them. A lot needs to end up happening for that to that matchup to happen. But Sal, that's at least the one that I'm eyeing right now.
Yeah, and kind of just looking back, when they took on Western Kentucky, the game got away from them when they were on the road, but they looked good and in control throughout the entire game at home. And the same could be said against Middle Tennessee. They rout Middle at home and then drop one in Murfreesboro. So just considering the way that the games went and recency bias, I do think that Middle Tennessee game, just in terms of disappointment, weighs heavier on the Miners. Obviously, they want revenge against whoever it is they would get, but it's going to be a lot higher. That revenge, type of factor should be more so in the Middle game.
Hey, speaking of Middle Tennessee right now, in this game, it looks like in this matchup, Sam Houston State's going to run away with this one. They're up 58-48. 11 to go in this contest. It's at home for Sam Houston. Looks like they're going to win this matchup. So you might see some slippage for Middle Tennessee also in the standings. Imagine this. After today, you could have Middle 6-8, Liberty 6-8, UTEP 6-9, Jacksonville State 6-9, New Mexico State 6-9. What a conference right here.
I love it. This is just the way it's supposed to be, right? Not a lot of separation. Granted, it's not happening the way that a lot of people wanted. You would hate to see a bunch of 6-8, type of teams be in the mix, to ride that hot hand going into Conference USA's tournament. But nonetheless, if teams are clicking at the right time in what is essentially a one-bid league, that's what you got to hope.
No. Sal. This is the most one bid. I was thinking this earlier today.
Is this the most one bid league?
No. Is there ever been a time in Conference USA basketball history where the league is more of a one bid league than this year? I mean, I don't remember a season where Conference USA was this down or had this much parity like this one right here. This season has really told us that there's not only is it a one bid league. I don't know if it's ever been like this in this conference.
I think Conference USA this year is a sword with the word parity on either end for both meanings. Parity, there's not a lot of separation, and then parity because it's a joke at times. What are we watching?
I like that. That's very true. Hey, 915-505-6009. That's our telephone number. If you're glass half full for the Miners right now, you're looking at that conference, you're listing those standings right there, and you believe that UTEP can actually have a chance in the conference tournament. If you're glass half empty, on the other hand, for UTEP basketball, you'll point out the fact that UTEP's been inconsistent all season long, and despite the back-to-back wins, how can you trust this team unless they actually string along multiple wins? So 3 in a row, if they do it on Thursday, they should do it on Thursday, would be a step in the right direction for the Miners. In fact, the only time they've won 3 or more games was to start off the season this year, where they won 5 straight to open up the year. So 3 to close out the season, definitely a positive thing for the Miners to try to accomplish. I don't know how much that actually, what that actually means for the Miners going into the conference tournament. You look at the records with Jacksonville State, the team they beat on Thursday, same with Liberty, here the team they beat tonight. That tells you a lot, but it also, it's a reflection of Conference USA. So there you go. Liberty beat the Miners earlier this year, 67-65 at home, and the Miners just skunked the Flames here on the road today. Let's go to Twitter or X, 600 ESPN El Paso. By the way, our phone number, 915-505-6009. Aaron Peterson, this is the potential that we know the Miners had since they beat Cal. They just hadn't lived up to it. Let's win out the season and make some noise in the conference tourney. Hashtag MinerTalk. This is coming from Pinky. That was Zid Powell that has been missing since the Wyoming game at the Don Haskins Invitational. Hashtag MinerTalk. This is coming from Tristan Pence. Did the Miners travel to the Stranger Things upside down world? Credit Coach Joe Golding and the Miners for stepping up this week. With a win against FIU next week, the Miners could earn a seed in the conference tournament that'll give them a legit chance at a deep tournament run. Hashtag MinerTalk. This is coming from Pick My Axe 915. A 16-point win on the road? Could this team be catching fire? Really hesitant, but let's see how they close out at home. And yes, pack the Sun Bowl on April 20th. Hashtag MinerTalk. I love it. This is Leo_Miner fan. He said, great win. Is this intensity that they can sustain going into the third season of the year in the conference tournament? Hashtag MinerTalk. It's an interesting question. Can they keep up this intensity? I mean, look at what you saw. You had a Conference USA Player of the Week caliber performance from Otis Frazier III in these two games. First, the career high on Thursday, and then the exciting performance tonight, the 11-point performance. Corey Camper Jr., he shrugs off 0 points against Jacksonville State, scores a career best 21 points. By the way, he scored 17 different times. He scored 20 or more points at Tyler Junior College last year. So Corey Camper Jr., you see the upside in scoring tonight. I tweeted that out. But also you see the upside in Zid Powell and what he's able to do when he really goes down to the basket and head down and really finds a way to score. So Sal, if they do these things right, it's hard to beat the Miners. I mean, simply put.
Yeah, and they were taking good care of the ball pretty much all night. That gives them the ability to kind of slow things down, and we want to see more of a half court offense in terms of being efficient there. We'll see when that gets going, but I think tonight able to cash in and transition and do complementary things to their defense. That was big tonight. So Camper, a couple times, Adrian, let me know if you saw it, grabbing the board and pushing it down the floor.
Yes, I did see that. I did see that. Yes, and it was kind of like David Terrell. Terrell has this really nice knack of seeing opportunities to go fast offensively, speed things up on a possession, and just get the quick, easy bucket. And I thought Corey Camper Jr. saw a mismatch tonight and really took advantage of it. 21-point effort, career best for him at the Division I level, and Corey Camper Jr. really showing what he could do with extended minutes. This is coming in from Travis Allen Fortune. UTEP should be everyone's dark horse pick to win the Conference USA tournament. Why not us? Hashtag MinerTalk. Steve on Wrestler. This is getting closer to the team that I imagined when they started 5-0. I haven't lost faith, but the standings don't lie. Hashtag MinerTalk. Manny David. He's checking in for the first time tonight. Someone pinch me. I must be dreaming. Another road win. How sweep it is. Keep the momentum, UTEP basketball. Finish strong at home and roll into Huntsville playing hot. Si se puede. Hashtag MinerTalk. This is coming from Leo_Miner fan. Actually, this is coming in from Aaron Peterson. Looking at the whole season, you see a lot of the games that the Miners could have and should have won. Because they showed the potential tonight, still a very subpar season as a whole. But maybe some hope going into the conference tournament and next season. Hashtag MinerTalk. I think Aaron brings up a really good point. Don't discredit, even if they get bounced out early in the conference tournament, whether it's the first or second round, don't discredit playing well to close out the season. That does a lot for you in terms of overall morality, in terms of motivation going into the next season. Look, we know that this season is what it is, but if they have some of the nice returning pieces coming into next year, I'm talking David Terrell Jr., Otis Frazier III, use that NIL money and tap into that to find some resources. Sal, you'd rather go into the offseason on a 3-game win streak rather than talk about, imagine, look at this UTEP team that lost 7 of their last 8 to close out the year, which is what the reality could have been had they lost these 2 games on the road this weekend.
No, big time. And to simplify it all, too, you could just kind of say, hey, when the most important basketball needs to be played, do you want to be playing your best basketball at that exact same time? And if you could be doing that, no matter who you are, you're going to ride that momentum going into any conference tournament. We see it all over the nation year in and year out. Some dark horse team catches fire, middle of the pack, but final 2 games or so, they get rolling and nobody wants to play them. They're going to be the tough out, if you're playing like that. So we'll see if they can continue this. I think Senior Day is definitely going to tell us a lot. Are they still locked in? Obviously, it'll be an emotional day for many reasons. But how locked in can they be? And do you want to ride the 3-game win streak or 2 out of the last 3, but you're coming off of a loss going into the tournament? So you got to keep that at the forefront at all times.
You know, it's crazy, Alberto, is this FIU game is like game of the year right here for the Miners. They absolutely have to win in terms of seeding position.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll say this, is they're extremely fortunate that that's a home game, and for guys like Tay Hardy, they get to finish their career, at least, you know, that last regular season game, you get to finish it out at home. And, you know, the Miner fans have an opportunity to fill out the home court and create a hostile environment. You know, if anyone was watching that game right now against Liberty, them fans in Liberty, they filled out that stadium, and at one point when the Miners went cold in the second half, the announcers said, you know, that the fans kind of felt themselves back in that one, and they created an environment where the Miners could have easily slipped. You know, they're an unexperienced team. They've fallen apart in the second half of games. So if the Miners can create a positive environment, you know, for their team, then I feel like that'll give their team the best chance to win, which is all that you can ask, right?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, that's a really good point. You know, for the Miners going into this final game, I mean, they have the 2-game, momentum, the back-to-back wins. That's obviously a good thing for this team closing out the season. So let's see what happens. I'm just curious to see how that turnout looks. Like you mentioned, Alberto, I'm not that optimistic, just to be honest with you, knowing that the Miners have, they've had a lot of great promotions these past couple weeks. They've had a lot of great crowds when it comes to Saturday games, but the Thursday games are harder to fill. So like you said, let's hope, at least for the senior night purpose, there's a good turnout at the Haskins Center come Thursday. Steve Kaplowitz, our very own, he tweeted into the program, in a season filled with inconsistencies and disappointment, UTEP men's basketball has put together back-to-back quality road performances at the right time. This group is finally playing with some momentum. Hashtag MinerTalk. All that matters in the league is the Conference USA tournament. It's true. I mean, that statement has never rang more true than this year, this season right now, because of what the parity is in Conference USA. This is coming in right now from, let's keep it moving, 915-505-6009. Edgar from Palo Verde Homes at Krabby Miner. I'm a glass half full guy. What a difference a week makes. UTEP men's basketball looked pretty damn good tonight. I thought the season was over, and now I'm back in. Happy to see other players contributing offensively. It's hard to guard a team who has 4 guys in double figures. Hashtag MinerTalk. That's true. I mean, it's a really good point by Edgar, and I like that a lot. I just felt like those guys, those pesky Liberty players, Sal, they just kind of needed some team like UTEP to just bully them, and I thought the Miners just did a good job bullying this team, finding the mismatches in this one and just scoring it, finding ways to score, but actually doing it, accomplishing it, and having success on the offensive side, shooting 53% from the field and then 40% from the 3-point line. Yeah, 3-point range.
They were able to be efficient all night, and I think what was telling in the last game is Liberty shot lights out in the first half when they first met in the Sun Bowl in the Haskins Center, and UTEP kind of had to adjust and play along with that at times. However, tonight, Liberty able to make shots here and there, but not as frequently as they did before. So you got to give credit to the Miner defense and also not being scared. I think Coach Golding mentioned it, how they were kind of switching a lot more in the last game. And this time they trusted the process on defense. In turn with that, you're able to kind of bleed out each possession, making sure that the squeeze, the juice is worth the squeeze necessarily on offense. So efficient tonight, Adrian, not killing themselves with silly turnovers as well, and able to keep that momentum sustained tonight.
915-505-6009. That's our telephone number. 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and 600 ESPN El Paso online at 600ESPNElPaso.com. David Corral Jr., where has this effort been all season? Keep it up. That's what he says. This is coming in from Trey Chauvin. Great coaching scheme by Golding by not letting Liberty get open three-pointers. Made them work for everything. It must be March. This is coming in from King Eric, I think I speak for everyone when I ask, where was this the beginning of the season? Well, actually, Eric, this was there the beginning of the season. And Alberto, the Miners started off the year 5-0, but they tailed off a little bit. And to close out non-conference play, they were 9-7, which was a little disappointing to fans who loved the way that they started the year. And then in conference play, they dipped to as low as 4-9 on the season in this league. They lost 4 straight going into this week on the road. So the fact that they were able to get 2 road wins, in enemy territory, Jacksonville State, Liberty, granted, those aren't the cream of the crop in the league, but still, I would agree with what Steve said earlier. It's quality road wins, knowing how bad this team has been on the road all season long.
Yeah, their play on the road, that was a big... It was really what made us question how far this Miner team would go, but they string two road wins together right before they go on the road in that conference tournament, and that gives us some hope. But you know what? It's the way they win these ball games. In this one, they had 38 points in the paint. They forced a lot of rebounds, a lot of turnovers. Had 23 points off of those turnovers. So I think that playing this defensive ball and then now having your offense kick in the latest stages of the season when it matters most, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
and that's what they need. They need the most. They need that defense to continue to be disruptive and create turnovers, and the offense hopefully kicks in this last couple stages.
Chris tweets into the program at AYYY8. Adrian, you owe that one caller an apology for doubting that we could win 2 or 3 the rest of the season. Yeah, I definitely do. I never thought this would actually happen. Yeah. We all owe that caller an apology. Dylan at Dylan Ukidi, our pal. UTEP was up 20 when he tweeted this. Liberty scored 2 a little while after. I'm just glad that UTEP proved me wrong and we won in this game. This is coming in from Leo again, _Miner fan. As great as the performance was tonight, they have to continue to prove themselves one game at a time. # keep the confidence and intensity. # season 3 begins soon. # conference tournament. Do you like that way, the way that he talks about it that way? Season 3, talking about the conference tournament there, Sal. It's true. You kind of have the non-conference season. You have the, the conference season, that stretch of the year, and then the conference tournament season. What do you think about that?
It's a cool way to look at it, depending on the type of season that you've had. And I think for this season, it's definitely fitting. You start off the non-conference slate, albeit there were some games that were not against Division I teams, but you're 5-0 at that point, and then ride it off into the record going for a conference play, and then middle of the Act 2, I guess. I think of it as acts. So Act 2 of this UTEP basketball play for the 2023-24 season, Conference USA play, but Act 3 is going to be the finale. How are you going to do that, and are you good enough to get an encore for Act 4?
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. I like that right there. Golding was talking about the whole "Why not us" mantra, saying there's a lot of belief and motivation in the locker room. He's really proud of the guys on how they responded. Saying, on the Corey Camper 21-point game, saying that he needed, that everybody needs a wake-up call at times, and he's proud of him on how he responded. I like that quote. I also like the way that he talked about Kevin Kalu, said that he set the tone for the defense tonight. Also, Joe Golding highlighted Liberty's run in this win for the Miners. Liberty went on like a 12-0 run in the second half, and UTEP responded with a 6-0 run of their own, and he credited the team for answering Liberty's punch. I thought that was huge for UTEP because everybody in this entire UTEP fan base, the people who cover it like us in the media, the people on the team, the coaches, the players, they all know that when the opponents get on a run, that's when it really tests UTEP. And more times than not, I think Alberto even hit on this earlier, Sal, more times than not, UTEP's fallen when other teams go on runs. And in this game, they were just able to push past it and, preserve that win.
Yeah, and it was how they were able to kind of answer the bell pretty much all night. And in the first half, UTEP forced Liberty into a drought. Second half, Liberty goes on that 12-0 run, but check this out. That 12-0 run is sandwiched in between 2 8-0 runs by UTEP. So they outscored them by 4 in that point. So able to kind of, counter it with whatever they were going to do on the offense. offense. And to answer that 8-0 run, which canceled out the 12-0 run by Liberty, UTEP goes 8-0 after that. Liberty gets 5 straight points, then there's a camper bucket, and then 3 straight points, but then Powell gets a layup. And then after a free throw, it's a 4-0 run. After a 3, a 4-0 run by UTEP. So you gotta like the way that they were able to respond, and doing things like that is what's going to prevent another drought from happening. But now the tables have turned. Now the other team is on the other end.
Yeah.
And you being UTEP, you've been in that position plenty of times before. At some point, you got to be able to turn the corner. And tonight, at least, was just one of those nights where, they pretty much seen it all and had an answer for anything that Liberty tried to do.
They flipped the script, because if you had UTEP dominating a team like this on the road on UTEP's bingo card, at least middle of the season, it probably wouldn't happen. UTEP winning on the road, sure, that I could see that happening, but for them to get the production they did tonight, I thought that was pretty, remarkable. It's 19 tonight from Zid Powell. He's taken a lot of heat from people like us on the show, or fans, whatever it might be, but he had 7 for 9 from the field tonight. He also made 4 for 6 from the charity stripe. He could have hit 20 points if he made all his free throws in this matchup. 23 minutes, he was plus 17, had 3 fouls, no steals, no blocks, but I liked his defense tonight. Zid Powell, what a game. I mean, you could really see what UTEP is, their potential really looks like when he is really on this team. Tay Hardy with 12 points, 4 assists. I mean, he's playing through it. He's going through something, serious as far as like an injury goes on his shoulder. Also heard that something's up with his ankle as well. So Tay Hardy, you just got to commend his toughness, his willingness to play. Otis Frazier III caps off the weekend. I said it. I'm going to call it again. I think he should win Conference USA Player of the Week. He played in 26 minutes in this game, 11 points. He was 5 for 10 from the field and had 3 steals. So that means this entire week, Sal, 10 steals for Otis Frazier III. What a week, man.
And tonight was a light night on the steals. I promise. And I'm not even trying to be sarcastic, just at the rate that this guy's been going. So,
sure.
Definitely impressive. And we talk about the ranking for them, so to speak, in terms of steals and being atop the nation, literally. And he's a big part of that. So definitely a big contributor.
Yeah, most definitely. Otis Frazier III. I just think he needs to win that Conference USA Player of the Week award for sure. No points for Kevin Kalu, but as it was highlighted in the postgame show, plus 23 in terms of efficiency. Was great defensively. Had 2 blocks. They were both emphatic. One of them led to a Liberty technical, Sal, which
was great.
That's where I got the text from UTEP Zay, which he'll come back on the show eventually, maybe for senior night, maybe for the conference tournament. But I was laughing at myself, I was laughing at Zay's text to me because he was saying, "Is the Kalu coin starting to trend upward? Does the stock starting to rise right here for crypto Kevin Kalu, who is starting to come back just when you counted him out, Sal? Just when I counted him out, he's starting to reel you back."
I don't even think Kalu coin is necessarily a stock, so to speak. It's more of like an index fund, because
it's like a lifestyle, right?
It's the portfolio's been diversified. Before it was probably just boards. Now it's steals. Now it's blocks and hustle plays. So you're getting a little bit of everything. Market's been up and down, but it was a
you held on. You held on to the coin.
Held on, and over over the weekend I checked the stock exchange and they said, it rose up 1.5%. So,
oh my gosh.
Hey, there's investment on that part. So,
oh my gosh. Alberto, where do you stand on the Kevin Kalu? I'm still not all the way back in. I'm still pretty much out. I don't even have my foot in the door yet, so I'm still pretty much out. What do you think?
We need to take what he gives us, and today he didn't give us points, but he gave us defensive production. So I'll take that. You want to see something out of the guys. So I feel like I'm not asking him to score a million either. So his defensive production, that's great, because I feel like it creates a little mojo and it kind of spreads to the other guys.
So speaking of mojo, Derek Hamilton did not necessarily have the mojo that they were looking for. He was the one, I guess, weak point of the defense at times when he was in the game. 10 minutes, 0 for 1 from the field. Didn't feel like he got enough opportunities offensively to really show what he could do. Calvin Solomon off the bench, 16 minutes, which, by the way, that's the most in a while for Calvin Solomon, who's kind of been buried behind in the bench. He had 3 turnovers, and I thought they were pretty costly in this game. He had 2 points. He had 2 rebounds. He was active there and came off the bench again. David Terrell Jr., plus 17, 21 minutes off the bench, had 2 turnovers, but also impacted the game with some 3 rebounds. He had a pretty significant layup in this matchup as well. Not many minutes from Baylor Hebb, not many minutes from Jonathan Dos Anjos in this game, and Trey Horton gets 4 minutes, so not much for him either. I like to steal in this matchup here in this game as we continue. 915-505-6009. UTEP defeats Liberty 67-59. That's our score right now. If you'd like to weigh in, you'd like to talk about it, 915-505-6009 before we get out to some awards here on the program. We'll get to a caller. We'll get to awards here in just a moment. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Miner Talk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. More in a moment here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Are you back in on this team? Are you glass half full or glass half empty? That's what we're asking right now here on the show, 915-505-6009. Let's go to Mike on the west side, who's joining us first on the phone lines. Mike, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, that was a good win that I didn't see coming. I didn't see it on TV, but I listened to most of it on the radio. But I remember going to the Liberty game in El Paso, and UTEP probably should have won that game. It was close. I do remember them missing some crucial free throws down the stretch, and then they only ended up losing by 2. So it's not totally surprising that they could play with these guys, you know.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, look, I thought that UTEP was going to lose this game just based on the fact that UTEP doesn't play well on the road. But when you watch them matchup-wise, UTEP should beat these guys 10 out of 10 times. I mean, this Liberty team, they're pesky. They bank on getting real hot in games, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of their bread and butter. And that's what happened at UTEP, right? UTEP missed a million free throws in that game. It felt like they just couldn't make buckets like they wanted to, and they lost that game at home. So, yeah, I can't stand that Liberty team. I really can't. They're really annoying and pesky.
I remember getting there before the game and watching them warm up and watching their layup lines, and I was thinking, are these guys any good? I mean, they didn't look very impressive at all. Bunch of short guys and not very athletic looking, but they kind of got hot there, and like we said, UTEP missed their free throws. Seems like free throws and down the stretch, and of course, 3-point shooting on the road has really been a bugaboo all season.
Sure.
For
Are you
team.
back in, Mike? Do you feel better about this team right now?
Yeah, I'd say getting these 2 wins on the road, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to that New Mexico State game, and of course, that was probably their best game of the year. And they hit, I don't know how many threes that game, but
right.
They usually don't hit that many. But yeah, that was by far their best game. But these 2 road wins, it's pretty impressive. I didn't think they'd win these games at all.
Me neither.
That's how they struggled.
No, me neither, Mike. I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for weighing in. 505-6009, that's our telephone number here on the program. I mean, Mike brings up some really good points in the fact that UTEP, I'll say this. I thought the first half, Sal, today was their best and most complete first half of the season. I just really liked how the first half they were on a 20-5 run to build that lead. I know Liberty cut into it a little bit, but, man, to go on a 20-5 run, that's pretty impressive right there for UTEP. When have they done that this entire season?
Yeah, it's been very rare to see any type of efficiency from the offense at any point. There's been a lot more droughts than there have been big runs this year. I do think the first half against New Mexico State was a solid one. However, all in all, from all aspects of the floor tonight, I gotta agree they're definitely the best first half. If not of the season, the one in a while, or it's up there as top 2, top 3.
915-505-6009. That's our telephone number as we continue. Leon is next here up on the phone lines. Leon, good evening, man. Thanks for weighing in. What's going on?
Hey, good evening, guys. You guys are doing a wonderful job this evening. And, hey, we got something to celebrate. That's what I'm excited about. I'm even more excited that we get to put it back in their face a little bit, especially when they came here and put mariachis in our football
Yeah, who brought the mariachis over there? They should have brought them out on the charter plane and stuff like that, man. Good point.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of we gave them a little bit back, but yeah, somebody earlier said they're a pesky team, kind of reminding you of old BYU days. They kind of fit that mantra, which I think is pretty interesting. But hey, listen, going to the game, I'm going to bring up a couple of points if you don't mind. But it was great to see them take advantage of the mismatch tonight, especially the size and on our guard side, from a Camper to Zid Powell, even Corey Camper. And it was nice for them to keep these guys in check, especially the guard that I was so upset about the last game. But something I got to think, and I'm really worried about and kind of keep teetering on is, man, I don't know what's up with Solomon. I'm not on the defensive end or his effort, rebounding, but from an offensive standpoint, I don't even think you can let him handle the ball. I don't know what it is. He's got the worst hands this year in the world, and it's a real regression from last year, and I really think that they need to find a way to utilize him but not have him handle the ball so much, maybe a little bit more trash around the rim, but even then, he's a little outside. So I think that's one of our Achilles heels, but tonight was great, and it's really nice to see 2 wins. You're going to ask me if I'm in. I'm just going to say, I don't know.
Yeah, you're still you're on the fence right now. If this was a door, you'd be kind of half in, half out. How about that, Leon?
I'll take it and let's see what we get Thursday and going into the tournament. But you guys have a great evening. Hey, we got something to celebrate, and I wish somebody would have gotten the mariachis. Have a great night, guys.
Good stuff, Leon. Later. Appreciate it, man. Hey, he brings up a good point on Calvin Solomon, man. Offensively, it's just been this entire year. It's nothing new. He was a Conference USA player, player that was recognized before the season started for all conference and the preseason part. He just hasn't been what UTEP needed this year from Calvin Solomon. I know they asked a lot from him to play that 5 position and to be out of his true role at the 4. I think he played great alongside guys like Zarek Onyema, but for some reason, when Calvin Solomon's on the floor with the likes of Derek Hamilton or alongside guys like even Kevin Kalu, it just can't coexist the way he did with Zarek Onyema, and I'm not going to excuse him for that. I just think that he has not lived up to the expectations that everybody had on him this entire year. 915-505-6009. That's our telephone number. 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and 600 ESPN El Paso on our free mobile app. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Milkman is next. Milkman, good evening, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Check it out. You know what that is? I'm opening up a beer to celebrate this win.
Good stuff, Milkman. Hey, are you back in? Are you glass half full on this team, or where are you at?
Okay, so I would have to say that if, and this is a big if, but if they continue to play this way, I am definitely back in, because this is honestly what I saw at the beginning of the season when everybody's like, oh my God, the stuff we're going to do this year. And then all of a sudden it just dissipated. It just went away. If they play like this, then yeah, I'm definitely back in. And let's face it, everybody said it. The only part of the season that counts is a conference tournament. I mean, everything else is kind of just, you're just playing, really. So if they can get themselves in a good position for the conference tournament and make a run in that, and I'm not going to say the W word, but I don't want to jinx it, but I mean, let's face it, it's a whole new season. They start playing like this, So,
sure, I could see that. I mean, I would also say this, Milkman. This year has given you a lot of ups and downs for UTEP basketball. So if they're just hot at the right time, who knows? I mean, you can't necessarily say that that this team has any kind of it's not like I could tell you La Tech is definitively better than UTEP. I can't tell you Sam Houston is better than UTEP. Everybody's kind of on the same level, and if UTEP's hot at the right time, that's what really counts.
I think that's probably the thing that disappointed the fans so much, is that, man, this conference was wide open for the taking this year, So for them to be at the bottom of the pack when, my God, it was, I mean, they could have easily have taken this thing, and it just didn't go that way. So, yeah, I'd have to say, I mean, it's March, right? And that's when you want to be playing good. And to start off March this way is a hell of a good thing. By the way, the last caller said something that, man, he beat me to it. But Liberty really is reminding me of BYU. Like, you just get that vibe from them. Of course, BYU was they had really good players when we used to play them all the time. But yeah, that's who they're reminding me of. So he kind of stole my thunder, but clearly I'm not the only one thinking.
No, you aren't, and Leon isn't either. And I appreciate the phone call, Milkman. Great stuff. Pinky also said this on Twitter and X. So, Sal, a lot of people are associating Liberty with BYU. UTEP's got a new rival, I think, in Conference USA, or a team that they just don't like, fans don't like, and it's Liberty. They just don't like Liberty right now, and I don't blame them. I think this team's pretty annoying. I'm not a big fan of their teams as athletics go.
It's energy that you could feel and you don't like whenever there's even, something Liberty related that's on TV, whether it be a highlight. And a lot of that too is frustration, because they're having a lot of good highlights looking at the football team and what they've done, basketball team, going on runs, but they taunt you for it too. They know what they're doing when they're doing it to you.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
I like that right there. Let's go back to Twitter next. Noah at the real Noah G. Joe Golding is too good of a coach to ever count out. Don't underestimate the heart of a champion. Hashtag MinerTalk. This is coming in from Joe Chacon. He is finally in on the show. He says, Mr. Chacon, that looks like the UTEP flag on the wall in our room, as pointed out by one of my students and fourth graders. This was the sign given to me on Friday that my students at recess time. First one came at night. This one was right smack in the middle of the day. Hashtag it's a sign. And he sends us a picture of like what looks like almost like a pickaxe out of the sky. So Joe Chacon, he's looking for signs and he's finding it right now. Okay, I guess whatever excites Joe Chacon, man. This is coming in from Trolley Dodger, our pal. UTEP is 2-0 since the Joe Golding fan confrontation. It seems like the Miners and Golding have come together and taken us against everybody attitude. They can be scary on a neutral site. I'm back in, from Trolley Dodger. What do you think about that, Sal? 2-0 before the fan or after the fan confrontation.
You gotta build tradition somehow, some way. But something cool that I was looking at too, Adrian, is when it comes to UTEP and when it comes to Joe Golding, and I say both, although Golding's at UTEP now, this extends to Abilene Christian, but Joe Golding, undefeated on senior day games.
Oh, interesting.
At home.
That's good. Okay.
Could this be game number 3 in a row for Golding? And he continues what he was doing at at Abilene Christian as well. But UTEP hasn't lost the senior day game since let me just make sure I get this right here. So they got it against Southern Miss March 1st. That was their last one, the 1920 season. So when we're talking about the third decade, essentially, because 2020 now, it's crazy as that sounds, but third decade of the 21st century, and the Miners undefeated in those games as well.
Nice. Okay, good to know. That's a good stat as well. I mean, those senior days mean a lot to these people, especially the guys they're going to honor here on the floor on Thursday. So that's a good one right there, Sal. Hey, as we wind things down here on the show, I think all three of us are in an agreement that UTEP's going to win on Thursday against FIU. We can predict all we want as far as standings go, but I think laying out the possibilities is a better way and the better method to go about this. So looks like the 5th or 6th seed, probably going to be the 6th seed when it's all said and done for UTEP, unless they somehow lose on Thursday. So that's probably how it's all going to wrap up. But again, the Miners, they take on it's Florida International. That's coming up Thursday. They beat Liberty 67-51. This is the largest deficit Liberty has faced at home since the 2019 season, which is pretty nice for the Miners to hand over to the Flames here in this matchup, especially knowing how much they've struggled on the road this entire season. Hey, let's hand out some awards here on the program before we wrap up the show. I'll get some reactions from Sal and Alberto on both the awards. First off, our Win Supply El Paso hot hand of the game, it's going to go to Zid Powell, 19 points, 7 for 9 from the field, 23 minutes of action. action. Zid Powell, they've been waiting for a game from him like this one, and he delivered, and that is why he is our hot hand of the game. Presented by Wind Supply El Paso. Hey, you can stay on schedule with Wind Supply El Paso. See why home builders make them their trusted HVAC system supplier. Check out the Find a Dealer tab online today, windsupplyelpaso.com. Sal, Alberto, what do you think about this one? We'll start with you, Sal.
I like it. Really efficient tonight. We mentioned the 7 for 9 shooting, 4 for 6. So respectable, at least from the free throw line. Gets a 3 and 2 rebounds as well. No assist. However, my favorite stat of the night, 0 turnovers for Zid Powell.
Good point.
So hot hands there, big time. And all of this, Adrian, 19 points in only 23 minutes. So when he was in the game, he was effective for sure.
That is going to be our hot hand award winner. Alberto, you good as well?
Yeah, I really like that pick. He gets to the foul line better than anyone else on this Miner team.
That's a good point, too. I think he, when he has his head down, drives to the basket, gets some contact, he does some good stuff for this team. Let's go over to our player of the game. This is brought to you by Timothy Cantrell. Let's go to Corey Camper Jr. He wins this one, maybe this first player of the game award here on MinerTalk. 21 points, 6 rebounds, was aggressive and was everywhere on the floor tonight. 35 minutes of action, 9 for 15 from the field. He also contributed with 1 steal. Corey Camper Jr., his career best with the Miners, and not his career best overall in college basketball at the JUCO level. He had a 40-point game. In fact, he's had 17, 20 or more point performances at Tyler Junior College last year. So Corey Camper Jr., you see the scoring upside, 21 points tonight for the Miners. He is the player of the game, presented by Timothy Cantrell. Hey, if you're looking to buy or sell your home here in El Paso, look no further than a trusted real estate agent like Timothy Cantrell. He has great experience and he has great listings and opportunities for you and your family. Give him a call, 915-204-8441. That's 915-204-8441 for Timothy Cantrell. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram at Timothy Cantrell Realtor. Sal, you good with this one? Corey Camper Jr., we haven't talked about him as far as a player of the game award winner here on this show.
Yeah, we've talked about Corey Camper in terms of highlight plays here and there, the hustle plays that he can provide for you, but showing that he was an anchor tonight, not just a flash in the pan. He was able to be hot all night. It seemed like. So great game, and it's an all around game. But coolest stat, and this is probably corny, I don't care, but 9 for 15. Love that number.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. And hey, by the way, you sent me the podcast title before the game even ended. I loved it. Camper Fans Flames. And the Miners win second road game. I love it, Sal. So you called your shot early in this game, and it was the Corey Camper Jr. game for sure. Alberto, it's good to see that this guy steps up for the Miners despite having 0 points on Thursday. How about that?
Yeah, he had a little comeback game, and Corey Camper Jr., he threw up the 915, had himself a phenomenal game. We've talked a lot about David Terrell, and now it's Corey Camper Jr.'s turn, and I'm sure he has a CUSA award in his future, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's going to win Conference USA Player of the Week. It's Otis Frazier, in my opinion. There's no way.
I think he'll get I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
So I think that David Terrell Jr. is probably poised for another Freshman of the Week award, and he's probably going to win Freshman Player of the Year for Conference USA, which, I mean, look, this league doesn't have a lot of freshmen, so he should run away with that award. But yeah, David Terrell Jr., be on the lookout for another award for him for Conference USA Freshman of the Week. Hey, guys, we're winding things down here on the show. 915-505-6009. If you'd like to duck in a late call, 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and X. That's 600 ESPN El Paso online as we continue here on the program. Florida International on deck. Miners have improved to 15-15. Another thing to mention, Miners have probably salvaged a winning season with tonight's win. They should beat FIU, so at worst, they would go 500 if they lost in the first round of the CUSA tournament, or at best, they they actually distance themselves a little bit and go, a couple games over 500. So I think a lot of people thought they would go and finish out with a losing record, but it seems like the Miners have actually preserved a winning season here after this victory here tonight. Let's go to Luis, who's joining us next on the phone lines. He'll wrap us up here on Miner Talk. Luis, what's going on?
Shalom. Viva los Miners. Viva los Miners. I love you guys. Everything is super duper. How about them Miners?
You're back in, Luis, huh?
Yeah, man. And you guys are doing, as always, a great job. Is Sal there?
Yes. What's up, Luis?
Hello, Salvatore. How you doing, man? Let me take, what's his name? Freddie.
Alberto.
The ex miner, Freddie
Reynolds. Are you talking about Freddie Reynolds?
Reynolds. Yeah, Freddie Reynolds. He used to be my classmate.
Oh man, Luis, we're throwing it back today, huh?
Yeah, he was when we were in criminal justice at UTEP. But anyways,
man. Good stuff, Luis.
Will always be a minor. That's where I graduated, and I love you guys. You have a beautiful evening, and greetings from my beautiful wife, Leticia.
Good stuff, Luis, man. Hey, appreciate you, and have a great weekend to you and Leticia. Hey, UTEP, if they get the 5th seed, they would play March 14th as part of the quarterfinals of the CUSA tournament against the 4th seed. That would be a 6:30 Mountain Time tip-off on March 14th. If they're the 7th seed, they would play that night or the day before. It's Wednesday, March 13th, and they would play against the 2nd seed. If they're the 6th seed, which is probably going to happen, it would be a late tip-off. It will be on March 14th against the 3 seed, and that one would be actually... It looks like a 9 o'clock start local time, Sal. So, get ready to stay up for the Miners. It could be a late night on that one, March 14th.
I didn't know the Conference USA tournament moved to Honolulu. That's crazy.
I like that. Huntsville, Alabama, exactly. But they usually call it Honolulu of Alabama. So there you go.
There we go.
If they win that game, it would be a 2 o'clock tip-off the next day, March 15th. So there you go. There's a little snapshot of what to expect for the Conference USA tournament. Hey, I appreciate everybody listening, calling into the program, and weighing in on UTEP's victory tonight. 67-51 is the final. UTEP over Liberty. For the Oscar Arieta Agency, they're the presenting sponsor. Thanks to them. For Sal Montes, Alberto Reta, I'm Adrian Broadus saying so long, and thanks for listening to Miner Talk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency here on 600 ESPN El Paso.